members here, and I'd like that more of the regular sitting members to be here for that meeting. Conditional use application. After the last meeting, I had been taking notes on suggested changes. At that meeting, that document was voted to be a working document. It was my job to give the document to George. I brought the document home, stuck it in a stack of papers, and when I got back to George about amending the document, realized that I became confused because that evening I had given George a stack of items to shred. So I thought I had given it to George accidentally to shred it. However, as I was getting ready for this meeting tonight, I found it. It was in the stack of documents at my house. So I'm embarrassed to admit that the changes still exist, but I haven't applied them, or I haven't asked George to apply them to the conditional use permit document. So nothing has happened on that one. So I'm thoroughly red-faced. Regarding capital improvement program, I think we need to wait on that till we get Gary back in the picture, since he is the head of that committee. And unfortunately, we're going to miss our deadline that I sort of imposed, but I don't think it's a real hard deadline anyway. So the last item there, site plan review regulations, discussion of possible changes. That's where my laptop comes into things, because the notes that I had taken are all on the laptop. So we've just gone through all the old business. Are there any complaints? Okay.
Moving right along.
I suck. Is that camera on? Because I suck.
That's much better
Yes,
than
it's
the
on.
dog apron.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Is this thing on, Senator? Okay. So, I postponed the meeting because I didn't want the August meeting to be a waste of time, yet somehow fate has caught up with me. So, one item we do have, new business. Discussion concerning removal of trees on Lyford Road. Why don't you go ahead and make your pitch?
That's me. And I approached Tom Welton to be included on the agenda. And I'll give you an introduction. My name is John Nelson. I'm with the Cemetery Committee, and a situation has come up. Along with this committee, Marilyn is on that committee, Tom Lavender is on that committee, and
No,
Craig is. Okay. I'd like to discuss this, the problem, and the problem as it relates to scenic roads. There's been some changes in that. Early in the week I talked to Tom Welton about this, and I talked to Eddie Nason about it. At our town cemetery, if you go down Lyford Road and you approach the cemetery, as you approach the cemetery going to Ron Pryor's house, or 109, on your left-hand side, there is a maple tree. There are two maple trees of concern. They're huge. They're like a yard. Nothing's been done with them in diameter, 3 to 4 feet. They're huge. And the problem is something needs to be done in terms of removal of those trees. Tom and I were there. Tom Hill, who does a sensational job of cleaning the cemeteries, by the way, beautiful job, best I've ever seen. He said, you know, there's these two trees, if a storm comes up, they could break, the limbs could break, the tree could fall, and they could compromise the stones that we have at that graveyard. So I would highly suggest, if you are traveling there, to notice these trees. I would say there's half of part of the tree is dead, and so it's scary to walk near the trees. What else? I would think, and this is my hypothetical opinion of it, it would take possibly a professional, a tree professional, to come in and maybe cut the tree. I don't know, maybe cut the tree in sections and gradually lower it and remove it so that it doesn't damage the stones. This is one possibility. That is pretty much the problem with those two trees. Now, my concern was that that was a scenic road. Lyford is a scenic road, and I made the false assumption that it was a scenic road all the way from 109 on down the road to Ron Pryor's house to meet 109 again. But that, I talked to one of the selectmen in town and a notable person in town and said, no, the scenic road starts where the pavement ends and where it meets 109. So technically, when I approached Tom about this, I says, this is a scenic road, we need to have a hearing and go from there. But I think we don't have to have a hearing because that paved road is not technically not a scenic road. And I'm trying to research that further. I checked the CC minutes, and they only go back to 86, and I think this was initially established in 1977. Now, I admit ignorance on this because I ordered those scenic signs, and I didn't realize that technicality. So, as we get involved with this tree removal, those two trees, I think we don't have to worry about having a hearing, and that is town property, so it'll be a matter of dealing with the monetary issue of that tree removal. So I guess as I bring this up, I would like to hear some of your input on how to go further with this. I think it would be a good idea to probably approach the selectmen, since if we do get professional help to remove those trees, that it could be a monetary issue. Now, Tom was telling me that I think, and he might have to correct me on this, that there's $5,000 as a warrant article that we could possibly use for that. And there's $500 in the budget of the cemetery committee. So, where do we go from here? Well, Eddie Nason suggested, why not consider the road crew? And we could look at that facet of it also to save the town some money. It's just that when you look at that, the limbs perhaps need to be professionally done, but I'm only conjecturing. I'm not an expert at this. And, we don't want to damage the stones. We need to take action on this so it doesn't fall down and damage that graveyard anymore and cost more money in the town. Yes?
John, you mentioned there are 2 trees.
Yes, ma'am.
But then you're talking about taking down 2 trees or
2
one?
trees.
2 trees. I'm trying desperately to remember what it looked like.
Yeah, one's in the stone, the stone fence, and then the other's inside the area where the graves are.
If I could just stop you for a minute.
Yes.
Clifton, you're here.
I am.
So why don't we have you seated and thank
No.
you for your service? Oh,
Let him finish. He's
Okay.
already seated and listening, so
all right. Fair enough.
I'll let him continue.
Please go ahead, John.
Oh, Eddie?
Okay.
I'm just,
After we talked, I went up there and looked. I've been by and looked at 2 or 3 times, but what I failed to recognize is, are either one of these trees within the right-of-way of the road or just within the boundaries of the burial ground?
Sounds like they're within the...
one's, Tom, you can help me with this.
One is inside the burial grounds.
Yeah, one's,
The other is right in the front stone wall. So I don't know whether you call
One
that.
is inside the burial.
The one in the front is probably in the town's right of way. I don't know how far the right of way goes.
It goes from the stone wall prior to, there's a stone wall
Goes
running right
to
up
the
through
stone
there.
wall?
The right-of-way goes from stone wall to stone wall.
Okay, well, part of the tree is on the right of way then, because it grows on both sides of the stone wall.
Okay.
Both trees are dead or dying, and they're going
Right, I was just gonna say, it wouldn't be a planning board issue if they were outside. The scenic road ordinance only applies within the right-of-way.
Yeah.
So if it was in the cemetery,
It wouldn't
then it
matter.
would be a problem at all.
But we don't think
The
it's a
cemetery
scenic
is not
road.
a problem.
Well, I believe, and I can't prove this because I just looked up the list of roads.
oh, you have that, good.
And it says, now the old, oh, wait, I got the wrong one here.
Have you gone and looked
Where's
through
the-
the old minutes yet?
No, all I can find
Scenic
is
Road, it just says
what I
Old Governor's Road.
worked with on those signs. I didn't find them.
Yeah.
Say that again?
We have listed the Scenic Road as the Old Governor's Road.
That's Lyford Road.
Which is
Now,
not Lyford Road.
which is now Lyford Road.
But
But it does
scenic
not
road-
apply to the state portion, that only applies
It
to,
doesn't even apply to the paved portion of Lyford. It only applies as you go down the hill, where that first road to the right is, that you can go back in through the woods.
the Old Governor's Road,
That starts there,
the true Old Governor's Road.
right. That's where the scenic road starts. And it goes
See, I thought
out
that's where it ended.
Yeah.
I thought it started at the Clark Road intersection
No,
and ended at the Old Governor's
You
Road.
know what?
no, it
spin-off.
starts down the hill and then goes out to.
Well, then we gotta clarify that, the
Yeah.
documentation on that,
We're-
'cause-
Yes.
I recommend that you're trying to figure out when they figured the 70, whatever it was. Go back in the
77.
selectmen's minutes and see what they said. Because that's sort of
Okay.
definitive. And they have, the minutes are right there behind, right, Cliff?
Not from
yeah, but you'll have to get a
1970.
hold of Craig
Yeah, Craig Evans will.
and pull
he's
them
on
out of the
their committee.
archives and have him research it.
He'll help with that.
It's always been thought of as the dirt portion of Lyford Road is the scenic road. But it doesn't start until it's halfway down that first hill.
So there's a difference of opinion.
I mean, in my opinion,
Contact Craig, he's gonna tell you the
Yeah.
same thing. Because I've been through this 100 times.
yeah, I'm not doubting you've been through it. I know you've had to deal with a lot of stuff with the selectmen and on this issue, but I mean, from my armchair seat, you know, I've always thought it was the whole road. I didn't know.
We just went through this when they wanted to cut trees on there for the power lines.
Vice Chairman?
And I'm not aware of that, so
That's a
I.
good question.
You know. But yeah, Booney.
What can the planning board do to help this?
Well, I think
I
that
don't think it is.
I don't think there's much that we can do. It sounds like everything's already been figured out.
Well, when I talked to Tom, I says, you know, this is a scenic road, right? And I ordered those scenic signs, so I should know that, right? I said, Tom, we need what's the procedure? Because that is a scenic road.
Mhm.
That was falsely
Well,
assumed.
if it's truly not in the scenic portion of the road, then you don't need anything. Because it's not a scenic road and the planning board doesn't get involved. It's just a matter of getting the selectmen to pay for it.
Okay.
So.
Define exactly where it is in that road too. so-
Yeah, I mean, I think that you brought up a very interesting side issue of you know, what the definition of that scenic road is, because there's so many different opinions, but, you know, other than that, if it's not in the scenic road area, then we have nothing to do with it.
So that would be in the select.
Ask Craig
Mhm.
to get you into those minutes and then go back and look at the minutes, and whatever they said in those minutes is that's it.
And that'll be,
You know,
that'll be a verification.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this is appropriate, since we have a selectman present, I probably should discuss the money issue with the selectman. You meet tomorrow night, right?
mhm.
Is there a chance to get on the agenda for tomorrow night? Or is
You'd have to talk to Ernie Brown.
Ernie Brown? Okay.
He's running the selectmen's meeting as chair this year, so.
Okay.
I'm sure that under cemetery trustees, you could get on there.
Okay.
Because there is always a slot for you
Yeah.
under committees, commissions, and so forth.
So I'll just give him a call tomorrow. and
Just tell them
show
that
up.
you're gonna be here for the meeting and you would like a little bit of your time underneath the cemetery trustee slot.
I'll call him. Tom, is there anything that I missed on this that you want to add? Marilyn? Sounds like that because of the scenic road situation, that this is out of your hands.
I would ask one
But
thing.
I will research it, I'll go through.
If you do run across documents describing, I mean, where the different roads, not just Lyford, I mean, I assume that all kind of went through at the same time, didn't it? Back in the 70s, they were all voted at the same time.
Yes.
If you happen to find descriptive information for other roads, we would
Great.
appreciate it if you just pass it along to us, just so we can be aware of it.
And while you're researching, I would just ask that when you did those signs, and I put them out,
Yeah, well, you know, I got those signs and I was unfamiliar with the town, I have to admit that. I got the signs and when you start getting acquainted with what you're doing, Then
Well,
I-
What I'd ask you to